Walking one time, it's going back a number of years ago, I was walking in Meir Shorim. I was on the way to give a shir in a yeshiva, and this was like a random maisa. Like, I don't even know why this happened, but I guess it happened so I could say it over this morning as akdama to what we're going to be starting Be'ez Hashem in the Halacha Shurim, this Zman B'siyata Dishmaya. So I'm walking along, minding my own business as I like to normally do, and this random Israeli, I wouldn't say very yeshivish looking, to say the least, comes over to me and he says to me, Harav yesh lecha daka. You have a minute? I would like to say not really. I'm in a rush. I've got what to do, but I don't want to. So he tells me this random piece of information. I have no idea why he said this to me. He says to me, do you know, it says obviously in Hebrew, but I'm saying in English. He said it's so natural for us to just, daven to Hashem, talk to Hashem, have the ability to have a relationship with Hashem. But I feel so bad, he says to me, for the people out there that don't recognize that they also have this opportunity. And he says to me, he was in the hospital. I don't know for who, if he was visiting someone, I have no idea. I don't remember, this is going back quite a few years ago. I was in the hospital, he says, and you're visiting certain people, there are certain people there are different types of people, and he said you've got certain people in the hospital that are sitting in the waiting room, and they're saying Tehillim, or whatever it is, they're busy, they're always sick in yonim of, getting as much as they can get done for the refuah of the person that they're, either their relative or visiting, whatever it may be. And then you have people that are just sort of like wasting time, they have nothing to do. And he said the difference between these two people is someone that has a relationship with Hashem and someone that doesn't have a relationship with Hashem. When you understand the koyach of Tefillah, when you understand the koyach of Tehillim, of davening, of talking to the Rabbeinu Shalom, you build a relationship with Hashem. He said it becomes like natural to us, and you don't even appreciate it. He says sometimes you have to look at people that don't have a relationship and you're like, wow, I have a relationship with the Rabbeinu Shalom. That's an amazing opportunity. So I took from there such an amazing thing. And the truth is, I want to discuss something, I want to do a little bit of a series over the next few shiurim, b'siyata d'shmaya, something that we haven't really discussed, I don't think ever, in this yeshiva in a format that we're doing it right now. And that is what I want to do, is I want to go through some of the halachas of Tefillah. To go through some of the halachas of Tefillah, because at the end of the day, if a person wants to really get into davening, if you don't know the halachas, something missing. And I'll explain to you why. We're learning Pirkei Avos now, right? Between Pesach and Shavuos, the Olam Baruch Hashem are busy learning Pirkei Avos. Gavaldik. So let's start with the Mishnah. Mishnah came out in the beginning of Masechtos Avos, Mishnah base, Perek Aleph, where the Mishnah says, Al shloisha dvarim ha'olam omed. On three things the world stands. What are they? Ala Torah, ala Avoda, va'al gemilas hachasadim. Says Rabbeinu Yoina. What does it mean that the world stands on these three things? Torah, Avoda, Gemilas Chasadim. What does that mean? How do you define that? Says Rabbeinu Yonah. You know what it means? Says Rabbeinu Yonah, this is why the world was created. Says Rabbeinu Yonah. That means the world was created specifically for these three things. Torah, Avoda, Gemilas Chasadim. Says Rabbeinu Yonah. We have Torah. We have Gemilas Chasadim. Hashem b'shefa. Chazdei Hashem. Avodah, unfortunately, we don't have, as it was written in the Mishnah, meaning the Avodah in the Beis HaMikdash, but we do have Eiza Avodah Shebalei, the Gemara in Tainis, Zu Tefillah. That means we have davening b'mokoim Avodah. That means our davening is Avodah. Zug Rabbeinu Yonah. This is why the world was created. As I state in Rabbeinu Yonah. Now, there's a moedike Gemara in Brachos Lamed Beis Amud Beis, where the Gemara says Tefillah is one of the things that constantly requires chizuk. You can't just learn about it once. By the way, there are three sugyas of Tefillah. This is the way I understand it. I've given Shurim Baruch Hashem of different topics of Tefillah. There's three sections. This is the third one that we've never really done before, Barichas. Section number one is the koyach of Tefillah. Understanding what Tefillah can do, how important it is, how much strength it has, what it can do to change your life. Tons of stuff. Stories and Midrashim and Chazal all over the place about the koyach of Tefillah. Amazing. Section number two is understanding the words of davening. How many people open up a siddur and have no idea what they're talking about? So Baruch Hashem in Yeshiva, we have given over the last few years, starting from the old building, we started from Shemona Esrei, and then we gave a 6 o'clock share a couple of years ago. We went through from Moida Ani all the way until the end, I think, of Valenu, as far as I remember. Right? We're now doing Zmiris. Just to understand the words. That's section number 2. Section number 3 is this one. And that is the halachas of Tefillah. Now that makes a big nafka meaning. You may say, okay, but what's the difference? The halachas don't really affect how I daven. That is a mistake. When you learn the halachas of something, you get more connected to it. And Chazal gave us a mahalach of how to daven. In what way to be dressed, in what way, in where to daven, location-wise, how to daven. There are halachas. And those halachas will, be'ezus Hashem, because Chazal set them up for a reason, allow us to become more connected to davening. So again, the Gemara Bracha says that tefillah requires chizuk all the time. It's not something you can learn once and you're yaitza. You've got to have constant chizuk. There's a moedik over Shemesh. The Omer Shemesh brings down a Parshas Kiseitse. He says that the Ikka, you hear this, Rabbi? This is amazing. The Ikka Milchemes HaYetza. Where does the Yetzer Hara want to get you more than any other place? So the Omer Shemesh, you know where it is? It's tefillah. No, you want to learn all day, no problem. You want to do chesed all day, no problem. Oh, but tefillah, you want to talk to Hashem, you want to have a relationship with the Rebbeinu Shalom. This is where the Yetzer Hara is going to come in and make sure you're distracted, and you're tired, and you're busy with other things, and thoughts, and actions, and who's got time, and who can concentrate. The minute the Yetzer Hara comes in such a way over there, which is why a person has to be careful. There's a Moedik Medrash in Parshas Mekates. The Medrash says, Ein lecha gedola min tefillah. There is nothing greater than tefillah. Says the Gemara Brachos. Look it up. Lamed Beis. Amodik Gemara. The Gemara says tefillah is greater than all the maisim toivim. Why? What's the raya? Says the Gemara. Because there's no one in the world that was great in the history of Klal Yisrael than Moshe Rabbeinu. About the Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu and maisim toivim. There was no one greater than Moshe Rabbeinu. But yet, Moshe Rabbeinu, says the Gemara, was only answered through tefillah, not through his maisim tovim. Says the Gemara, you see from there that tefillah is greater than anything in the entire world. How important that is, Rabbi say. Gemara Megillah, Chav Zayin Amud Aleph, Rabbi say. Gedola tefillah mit Torah. Greater is tefillah, says the Gemara, than learning Torah. It's the raya from Elisha Ayin Shom in the Gemara. The Mishnah Berurah, by the way, in Erechaim Semikuvav, brings a rokeach that says that someone that's mavatal tefillah because of Torah, it's as if he learned nothing. I was once sitting by an Agoyna Godel, Rabbi Zul Orbach Shlita. For those of you that don't remember, Rabbi Zul Orbach, it's been a while since we go to him. Rabbi Zul Orbach is, of course, Rabbi Shlomo Zalman's son, Rabbi Yashiv's son-in-law, Rabbi Chaim Kanievsky's brother-in-law, surrounded by Gedolei Torah. So I was once sitting by him, and Yid comes into the Beis Hara. I used to sit there getting shimush in different shilas. Used to be Rabban, people used to come in with different shilas. I used to sit and listen. We discussed it, whatever. And a Yid comes in, and maybe it was a bacha as far as I remember. Maybe it's going back quite a few years ago. And he says, the yeshiva that I daven in, I guess it wasn't here, but the yeshiva davening davens a really long davening, and I want to learn. I got loads of learning to do, and it's that Poshet Bittul Torah. And Rabbi Zul Orbach quoted this Mishnah Berurah from the Rokeach that say absolutely not whatsoever. There's no such thing as Bittul Torah when it comes to davening. If you are davening, there's no Bittul Torah involved in that case over there. Okay, by the way, Rabbi Chaim Kanievsky has a beautiful sefer, Orchos Yosha, right? They have it now, I think as far as I remember, I think they have it in English now. The art's called now, beautiful. So we should get one for Yeshiva maybe. But the Orchos Yosha writes, Rabbi Chaim Kanievsky Zatzal writes, that all the tikkunim in the upper worlds happen because of tefillah, and every word that a person is mispalas, misaken things up in Shamayim, even if we don't see the toyeles, we don't see the constructive purpose, we see nothing. And in fact, Rabbi Chaim Kanievsky writes over in Orchos Yosha, and this is why I want to, as a Akdama to the halachas that we're going to be discussing, Rabbi Chaim Kanievsky writes that it's a chiyuv gomor. That's the lashon Rabbi Chaim Kanievsky zatzal. Chiyuv gomor. Okay, maybe we translate that as absolute obligation for every person, he says, to be a baki in Hilchos Tefillah. That's what he writes. It's an absolute obligation for a person to be a baki in Hilchos Tefillah. Why? Where does he get this from? He says, Rabbi Chaim Kanievsky zatzal, imagine a person is serving the melech, he's serving the king, and he doesn't know how to act. He doesn't know how to conduct himself. It's a bizoyin to the king. You don't know how to act? It's a bizoyin. Zuk Rabbi Chaim Kanievsky, that's what's happening over here. You walk into shul or wherever it is that you're davening, and you don't know the halachas, and you don't know what to do. It's a bezoyin to the melech, malchei hamlachim. Mimela, that's what Rabbi Chaim Kanievsky says, that's an absolute obligation for us to become a baki in Hilchos Tefillah. Well, what are we doing about it? So those of you that are learning right now, Mishnah Berurah or Kitzur Shulchan Aruch Hilchos Tefillah, beautiful. But just in case you're not right now doing that, maybe we'll spend a couple of shiurim on understanding some of the halachas of what Reb Chaim Kanievsky says is a chiyuv gomor on every single one of us to become a baki in Hilchos Tefillah. So Rabbi said that's what we're going to be doing Be'ez Hashem in the next few days. We'll see how long we take it. We'll see how long we go. We'll see how many subjects we can try to cover. But I really want to make sure that we become a baki in Hilchos Tefillah so that not only do we know Hilchos Tefillah, but hopefully we can also connect to the Tefillah as well. The Gemara in Brachas Davov tells us, there are certain things that are like at the top of the world. People are mezalzel. There are things that are so high, they're the greatest of the greatest. And people are like, big deal. Right? What are they? Tefillah. As I state the Gemara. Right? Rashi brings Kegoin Tefillah Sha'oil Lamala. As I state in Rashi. Mefurish. So therefore, Tefillah is something that stands b'roimei shalolim. It's the highest of the highest. But people are mezalzel. Why are people mezalzel? So there's a Yalkut Agushoni and Brachas that brings the reason that people are mezalzel because they don't feel they're being answered. They feel I'm davening and I'm davening. I'm davening for shidduch, I'm davening for parnasa, I'm davening for health, I'm davening for this one, for that one, for this one, for that one. And I don't see that it's happening. We don't realize what Tefillah does. I'm not going to go now too much into it. Maybe tomorrow we'll discuss a little bit more. But Tefillah, by the way, the Chavis Halavova says it and others, Tefillah is for us. Tefillah is for us. People think Tefillah is for the Rabbeinu Shalom. The Rabbeinu Shalom doesn't need your Tefillahs. It's for us. We elevate ourselves when we daven. We make ourselves different people, and through making ourselves different people, we become now, fitting to now be the person that's going to benefit from whatever it is that you're davening. So by a person davening, he realizes that it's not him. Because when a person does things on his own, he gets sort of like, it's me, it's all because of me, I'm a good businessman, I'm a good salesperson, I'm a good this, I'm a good that, and it's because of me I'm successful. When a person stops and he davens, and he opens the siddur and he recognizes that everything's from the Rabbeinu Shalom, everything changes. And he elevates himself through that, now making himself roy for something that perhaps before he wasn't roy for. Okay? Rav Victor Miller on his Perush on Chovos HaLevavos also brings down when a person, he goes to shul and he shakes and he's this way and he's that way, whatever it is, a person has to recognize that you're talking to the Rabbeinu Shalom. It's an opportunity to think. Davening doesn't mean saying the words. Davening means to think about what you're saying. Understand, who are you standing in front of? The Melech Malchei Amlachim. You have an opportunity to have a relationship with the one that created the entire world and keeps it running every second of the day. And he wants to hear from you. He can't wait to hear from you. That's what he wants. He just wants that relationship. That's why, by the way, we don't have everything we need in this world. That was the klal of the Nachash. Why not? Why don't we have everything we need? So can you imagine, maybe we said this before, can you imagine a father turns to his son, he's about to board the plane, he's going to a year in Israel, he gives him all the money he needs for the whole year. And he says, my dear son, here's the money you need for the whole year, don't speak to me. I don't want to hear from you once. Here's the money, sei gesinnt. Right, so you may say, wow, that's great, I have all the money I need for the year. But really what's going on is there's no relationship. He doesn't want to hear from you. When the Rabbeinu Shalom does not give us everything, it's because he wants to hear from us. He wants us to turn to him, he wants us to daven, and it's on us to be able to do that. That's what Tefillah accomplishes. If I remember correctly, those that were there, Rabbi Joey Newcomb was in my house making a farbrengen. We were singing, and then afterwards it went to 1, 2 in the morning. If the owner remembers, we were talking Torahs. It was Gavaldik. See, he said it was some Maisa. I don't remember where he said it from, but I'm just quoting him. Maybe Omer Dova B'Shem Omroi. He said over this Maisa that the Heilige Baal Shem Tov HaKudosh one time walked into a shul, and it was a shul of Choshvei Yidden. And they all had a Siddur HaRashash in front of them. For those of you that are not familiar, a Siddur HaRashash has many kavonas. Kavonas of Yud-Kei, Vav-Keis, and different Mahalchim, and different orders, whatever. And he looked around, the Baal Shem Tov HaKodesh, and he said, wow, a bunch of mathematicians over here. That's what's going on. Everyone's making calculations, and cheshbonos, and this Malach and that Malach. But no one's talking to the Rabbeinu Shalom. So yes, you want to have kavonas, you want to be busy with that, Gavaldik. But think for number one, step one is you're talking to the Melech Malchei Hamlochim. You're building a relationship, and we'll end with this, Rabbi Yisai. About 150 years ago, Rabbi Saul Salanta, somebody came into him with the following shaila. He says like this, and I guess they davened a little bit better maybe than me, or maybe, I don't know, whatever. Talk for myself. But he comes into Rabbi Saul Salanta and says, Rebbe, it takes about 8 minutes to daven Shemoneh Esrei. 8 minutes to say all the words and concentrate the entire time. He said, Rebbe, I cannot concentrate for 8 minutes straight. I'm busy. I got a business meeting later on. I'm thinking about how to, formulate my words for the meeting. I've got a situation in my house at night I've got to work out. I got a chasna coming up in 2 weeks that I have to fly away for. I'm busy. Who's thinking for 8 minutes? Who can concentrate for 8 minutes straight? So Rabbi Saul Salanta said, my dear Yid, I want to ask you a favor. Do me a favor. There's a circus right now in town. Go to the circus and watch the guy who crosses the tightrope. Right, you've got that little, thin little rope at the top of this huge, high ceiling, and he crosses from one end to the other end. Sometimes they do it with a bike, whatever. Watch him come back to me. Bit of an interesting request from the Gedoyle Bala Musa of the generation, Rabbi Saul Salanta, but he listens. So he goes to the circus, he watches, he comes back, and the Rebbe says to him, "Nu, what do you see?" He said, "It was amazing. Wow, first he walked, then he went with a bike, and it was gewaldig." So he didn't fall? No, he didn't fall. What did he do? He said, I watched him. He concentrated every single second. His mind was nowhere else. How did he do that? Rabbi Saul said to him, I don't understand. I thought for 8 minutes. How did it take? 8 minutes. I thought 8 minutes is hard to concentrate. He said, yeah. I said, Rabbi, his life depended on it. Because if he wouldn't have concentrated, he would have fallen, plunged down, and who knows what his end would have been. Says Rabbi Saul Salanta, that's the answer. If you know your life depends on your tefillah, if you know your life depends on the davening that you have, then yes, you'll be able to concentrate. Be'ez Hashem b'siyat tishmai, we're going to try to go through some of the halachas to become what Chaim Kanievsky says is a chiyuv gomel for every one of us to become a baki in Hilchos Tefillah. Join us tomorrow for part 2. Have a wonderful day.